Adaku sat on the floor on the village street and started eating the sacrifice meant for the gods of the land. She ate it all. She went home with a full stomach. Her mom asks her where she went to, and Adaku realized that her mouth isn't opening. It has been glued together. The sun beat down on the red earth of Umunid village, a place where traditions ran deeper than the roots of the ancient Iroko trees. In this village, where every shadow held a story and every whisper carried a warning, lived a family known as the Nwankwos. Papa Nwankwo, a respected elder, and Mama Nwankwo, a woman of quiet strength, had a daughter named Adaku. Adaku was a vision of beauty, her skin like polished ebony, her eyes sparkling like stars on a moonless night. Many a young man dreamt of her, whispered her name in their sleep, until they witnessed her at a meal. Adaku ate like a force of nature, a glutton whose appetite defied explanation. She consumed food with a ferocity that made seasoned warriors pause. It was as if she had been starved for centuries, every bite a desperate attempt to fill an unfillable void. Her love for food was immense, a defining trait she embraced with unapologetic glee. When asked about her passions, Adaku would beam, declaring, "I like to eat. I'm a foodie." She would cook a mountain of pounded yam, enough for an entire family, and devour it by herself as her morning meal. By noon, her stomach would rumble, craving more, and by dinner, she would be ravenous again. The villagers, while admiring her beauty, often teased her about her insatiable hunger. "Adaku, do you have the stomach of a hippo?" They'd joke, "Why do you eat so much?" But Adaku would merely smile, unfazed by their questions. The most peculiar thing was that despite her monstrous appetite, Adaku never gained an ounce of weight. She maintained her lithe figure, a constant source of bewilderment and wonder for all who knew her. Adaku was never meant to be this way, but her parents, in their love and perhaps their ignorance, had inadvertently shaped her destiny. When she was a toddler, her cries would pierce the quiet of their hut, disturbing their peace. To quiet her, her parents would offer her food, a spoonful of pap or a piece of soft yam, and her wails would instantly cease. Her parents, desperate for peace, unknowingly nurtured the glutton within her. Adaku grew, her beauty blossomed, and so did her hunger. She was always the first at the communal meals, her plate piled high, her eyes scanning for more. She was known to finish a portion and then eye her neighbors' plates, sometimes even snatching a morsel or two if they weren't quick enough. One scorching afternoon, the village prepared for the annual harvest festival, a time of immense spiritual significance. Offerings were laid out at the ancient shrine of the ancestors, meant to appease the gods and secure a bountiful harvest. These offerings, glistening with palm oil and seasoned with sacred herbs, were left untouched, a solemn tribute to the unseen deities that watched over Umunid. As the sun began its descent, casting long, eerie shadows across the shrine, a figure emerged from the dense undergrowth. It was Adaku. Her stomach grumbled, a loud, undeniable protest against its emptiness. The sight of the lavish offerings, so rich and tempting, proved too much for her. She approached the shrine, her gaze fixed on the food. Her hunger, a beast she could no longer control, overshadowed any fear or respect for the sacred. With trembling hands, she reached out, grabbing a piece of roasted yam. One bite led to another, and soon, she was devouring the offerings meant for the gods themselves. She ate with abandon, oblivious to the sacred ground, deaf to the whispers of the wind that seemed to carry warnings. She finished every last scrap, leaving nothing but empty calabashes and a sense of profound unease in the air. Her belly, now distended, ached with satisfaction. As she trudged home, the setting sun painted the sky in shades of blood orange and bruised purple, an ominous tableau. The air grew heavy, thick with a silent disapproval. Adaku, her mind still lost in the pleasure of her forbidden feast, felt a peculiar tingling sensation around her mouth. She tried to open her mouth to hum a happy tune, but her lips wouldn't part. A strange, sticky film seemed to have sealed them shut. Panic began to bubble in her throat, a desperate, silent scream. Her fingers fumbled, trying to pry her lips apart, but they were welded together, as if by an invisible, powerful glue. Upon reaching her family hut, her mother, Mama Nwankwo, looked up from stirring the evening meal. "Adaku, where have you been?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Adaku tried to answer, to explain her predicament, but only a muffled grunt escaped her sealed lips. Her eyes, wide with terror, pleaded for understanding. Mama Nwankwo, seeing her daughter's distressed expression and the strangely unmoving mouth, dropped her stirring stick. "Adaku, what is wrong?" she exclaimed, rushing to her side. She gently touched Adaku's lips, her brow furrowed in confusion and alarm. They were indeed sealed shut, as if they had never been meant to open. A chill ran down Mama Nwankwo's spine. This was no ordinary ailment. This was the work of something far more ancient, far more powerful. Adaku, unable to speak, began to tremble. Her mind replayed the scene at the shrine, the delicious, forbidden food. A cold dread seeped into her bones. She knew, with chilling certainty, that her gluttony had crossed a line, a sacred boundary never to be breached. The gods had seen. The gods were angered. And now, Adaku, the beautiful glutton, was paying the price. Her mouth, the very instrument of her greatest pleasure, had been silenced, sealed by the wrath of the very spirits she had so carelessly offended. The village elders, when they heard, shook their heads, their faces grim. They knew the signs. Adaku's fate was now in the hands of forces beyond mortal comprehension. The forest whispered, the spirit stirred, and Adaku's silent screams echoed only in her mind, a terrifying testament to a gluttony that had dared to challenge the gods.